What's up, Epic 7, and happy Foundation Day. It's September, and with September has come 2 more months of different expeditions. For the next 2 months, we'll be facing off against the Fire, Earth, and Dark expeditions. I'm going to show you my favorite teams that, if you can gear to my level, you will be able to solo clear all the way through. And if you can't, you'll be able to drop a high enough score that somebody will come along and polish it off for you, no problem. I'll also try to give some alternate units for those of you who don't have the units I'm using. So first, let's jump into Fire Expedition. For Fire Expedition, first things first, we'll be using our Lord and Savior of PvE, Brieg. Now, if you don't have Brieg, you can use pretty much any gambit of Ice Knights. You can use Ice Rose, you could use Crow, you could use Crozet. Ice Rose is probably my favorite amongst that bunch. You could also use Fire Cecilia or Ross in this place if they're built bulky enough to take the hits. Now, Brieg I have built on a speed set, though he is still relatively slow. I'm rolling him down to about 173 speed, and the reason is that speed tunes him proper for the Dark Expedition. For the Fire Expedition, the speed's really not that critical. Also, I am running him on Sword of Azera. You do not need Sword of Azera on Brieg for the Fire Expedition, but it's really, really nice to help keep him alive for the Dark Expedition, so that's why he's currently wearing it. Make him as bulky as you can, again, for the Dark Expedition, and a little bit of damage is nice, but don't overthink it too much. Brieg is just there to tank and put up defense breaks and give the team barriers. Next on the team, we're going to be running Tamarin. You want Tamarin to be as fast as possible. I like her around 220 to 230 speed. 240 is even better. The faster your Tam, the faster she'll cycle, the faster you'll clear these phases. I've got her on Magahara's Tome, again, to help her cycle. You can also put her on Prophetic Candlestick to help cycle her skills from impacts instead of from her taking turns. Either way is good. Whatever it takes to get this girl to cycle and take turns. She only needs 100 effect resistance. This 200 ER is simply there for Nightmare Raid. You don't have to build her quite to that standard. 100 effect resistance is all you need. And effectiveness, she really doesn't need any at all for expeditions. 105 effectiveness is there for the Nightmare Raids. For a damage dealer, I'm going to be running Camilla. Now, I know she is on a limited artifact that a lot of people don't have. You don't need this artifact. Okay, you don't. Tamarin will give her an attack buff soon enough. And if you're running Ice Rose in the front, Rose will give her an attack buff. And you can run pretty much any other artifact on Camilla and be fine. Middling amount of speed. You want her a little bit faster than the Ferris, so she has a chance to defense break before the Ferris jumps and locks everybody down, but that's not that critical. As close to 85% effectiveness as you can get so that she will stick her defense breaks reliably. I know I'm only at 84. Once I 90 this piece, I'll be at 85, but it's good enough, right? It's good enough. And my DPS unit is going to be Commander Lorena. Now, if you, I'm not going to give an alternative from Camilla because you can get Camilla from the connections now, so go pick her up. Commander Lorena is a pretty easy unit to build. Mine is overkitted on damage. She does not need to be this strong. If you can work a pen set on her, that's even better. But I just went with Rage Crit. I put her on Our Beautiful Seasons to do damage. You can also use that birthday cake artifact that we got yesterday. That will work well on her as well. If you do not have Camilla, you can run just about any strong ice DPS that has a built-in CR push. You could run Luna, the ice version. You could run Lena. You know who I'm talking about, right? Lena is actually fantastic at this. But Lorena is going to do the most damage. Here's how the fight works. Now, everybody's skills are on except for Camilla. I've got Camilla's skills turned off because she's always going to be wearing an attack buff due to the artifact, and that's going to let her drop in dual attacks constantly. If you are running without the artifact, you could turn her skills on so she'll self-attack buff, or you could run Ice Rose in the front to give the attack buff, or you can just let her S1 for defense breaks, not dual attack, and wait for Tamarin to give her an attack buff. Now, did you see all of those repeated attacks that you got out of Commander Lorena? That's what makes her so good, is she just cheeses right through that phase, and if you get a defense break off on your Camilla, she gets to cheese those attacks off into defense breaks for even more damage. Sword of Azera putting in good work keeping my Brieg alive. So far, I've only gotten 2 dual attacks out of my Camilla. I'm pointing that out because we are now into Tamarin using her S3, putting her attack buff on everybody, and now even in a Camilla without Tachi would be dual attacking. So it is nice to have Tachi on her because you'll get a couple extra dual attacks in that you wouldn't normally get, but you can see why it's simply not required. Not with Tamarin on the team, constantly reapplying the attack buffs onto your Camilla. And there we just passed the halfway point at 900k damage, and as you can see by the HP bar over the Ferris, we're nowhere near the halfway point of the fight. So we're way ahead of schedule. And I mentioned that we're way ahead of schedule to point out the gear quality requirements. If I am already at 1.2 million and the Ferris hasn't even done its second jump, we haven't gotten to the halfway point of the fight, I think that really points out that you don't need Tachi on Camilla, that you could have much lower damage gear on Lorena, that it doesn't have to be a rage set, it could be the free Destro set, and you're still going to be able to bang out these points. And the nice thing is it uses 3 free units, and then the 4th unit can be Lena, can be a 3-star free unit until you eventually get your Lorena. You'll eventually get your Lorena. I really thought we were going to kill it before the halfway point, but we just now have reached the halfway point and the Ferris barely has any health left. Very fast, very clean, very safe team. Do make sure you put a little bit of HP on your Lorena. Mine's got 10k health. You don't want to make her 2 glass or the Ferris can kill her right at the start of the fight. So there you go, full clear fire team. Next, let's take a look at the dark team. Now, the dark team, you're going to be surprised by the units we use because, that's right, it's the exact same team. Literally the exact same team with the exact same gear as the fire team. Talk about conservation of units and gear. You won't have to re-gear, move anything around. Now, alternates are a little bit tricky here. For Brieg, you definitely want him around 180 speed or slower. 173 has worked perfect for me. I don't quite have the full crit chance, but that's okay. My Brieg's not the principal damage dealer here. He is there to drop defense breaks and spam barriers and just survive and take the hits. If you don't have Brieg for this fight, you can use Fire Lilius. She works quite well. I'm not a big fan of Ross up front for this fight. You want somebody that has a non-attack skill, like Brieg does. It'll make life a lot easier. We're going to run the same Tamarin in the top spot. Again, fast with Tog's book, so she cycles her skills. We need her to cycle her skills quickly, so the speed is a little bit more imperative. You do want to have the 100 effect resistance on her. 200 is overkill, 200 is for Nightmare Raid. You only need 100 effect resistance on her to survive the, or to not be reset by the cannons, and that is important. You do not want your healer's skills reset. Though it's not required, having about 85 effectiveness on her is nice in case the Gigantus gets a defense buff. Tam will have a little easier time stripping it, but you can just rely on Brieg for that as well, so it's not as important. Lorena, once again, the 85% effectiveness mark is important. I know I'm 1 short, but once I get this leveled, I will have it. You You want that so she can reliably stick her defense breaks. If you don't have Tachi, that's fine. You can rely on Tamarin's attack buffs and just run her on any other artifact that would help support the fight or bring damage to the team. Tachi is not required. It just makes the fight a little bit more efficient. And Lorena. Again, you can run Luna. You can run Landy. You can run ML Landy. You can actually run top model Lulika. Any good, solid DPS in the back row will work for this, but I really like Commander Lorena because her self-CR pushes really helps her dish out the damage. I've got her on a Rage set with Our Beautiful Seasons for an artifact. The Rage set's not required, but, you know, again, the more damage, the better. It lets you chew through this quicker. This is the fight where it's important to have that Sword of Azera artifact. If you don't have Sword of Azera for Brieg, consider putting Proof of Valor on him or ramping his HP and defense up even higher and dropping his damage down. It's really important he is able to take the hits from the Gigantus and not die, because once Brieg dies, the rest of your team collapses like a bad card table. Here's how the fight goes. Once again, everybody's skills are on, except for Camilla, whose skills are off. It's really nice if Camilla gets the defense break, but here's why it's important for Brieg to be slow. If Brieg goes after the Gigantus, he uses his S2 to put up a barrier, and that cleanses one of the electrocution debuffs, so you'll take less damage. It's much, much easier to survive this if you only have electrocution on 2 units, and electrocution is dispelled by doing a non-attack skill. Now, if you can't tune your Brieg right, you can turn your skills off on Camilla, so she will eventually use her S2 and get rid of electrocution. That's a good thing to do if you find your Brieg is dying, but I find that as long as Brieg goes after the Gigantus and cleanses his electrocution, I seem to survive this just fine. The slow debuff combined with the defense break is really, really fire for this. Tamarin pushing people around, giving the attack buff. If you didn't have Tachi, now you have the attack buff and you're going to start dual attacking for even more damage. This Cannon Blast resets people's skills, except for Tam, because Tam's got the 100% ER, so she is 100% immune to the cannon. The cannon has 0 effectiveness, so you only need 100 ER to not be reset to be immune to the cannon. And that's important. Everybody else can do S1 skills. Everyone else, we don't care about being reset, but you want to make sure your healer never gets reset. And we've just passed the halfway point at 900k damage. And you'll notice the HP bar over top of the Gigantus's head. We have just past the halfway point, I believe. Now, nope. See, his ultimate skill is ready. His ultimate skill is the halfway point. So we're still not even at the halfway of the fight, and we're at 1.1 million already. So here's where Tamarin having the effectiveness is nice. We stripped away that defense buff, but Brieg would have gotten it eventually. It just makes things a little bit more efficient. Plus, your Tamarin will be ready for Nightmare Raid. And there we go. We just hit the halfway point of the fight at 1.4 million points. Taking some electrocution damage. Brieg reestablishes the defense break. Tam just in time with her heal for everybody. You can see why I told you to make Brieg tanky. Look how low his health is. If he hadn't been able to take that last hit, Tam would have been able to heal him, and our chances of clearing this would have gone down a lot. Actually, they wouldn't have. We just killed it. 1.8 million with several turns to spare. I don't think I've had a failure with this team yet. So if you can build to these stat requirements, you have a 100% full clear team for both fire and dark, making life easier for you and the rest of your guild. Now let's talk about the Green Expedition. Unfortunately for the Green Expedition, we can't use the exact same team. but we have got a pretty good team cobbled together. We'll call this the loser squad because these are units that you just don't use anywhere else in the game, right? First, we can't use Brieg in the front on this one because the boss is Earth, and you get seriously penalized for not bringing a mono fire team in. So we want a fire team for this fight. So we're going to run Fire Cecilia as our knight. You could run Fire Lilius as a possible alternative. You could also run Ross. Adventurer Ross works just fine here. Now Cecilia's a little bit better because she has more AoE attacks and because she spams immunity, slows, and strips. She does everything right for this fight. She's definitely the best choice, but I know a lot of people don't have her, so feel free to use Ross or Lilius as acceptable alternatives. Cecilia, you want to be built relatively fast. I think north of 220 speed is a good spot for her. Mine's all the way up at 240, and that's fine. Other than that, she just needs 6 pieces of gear. She doesn't need a lot. This isn't a fight where you take a ton of damage. So, I've got 1800 defense by 16k health. It could be substantially lower than that, and you would be fine. You do want to have the 85% effectiveness so that she can stick her defense break. Her S1 is a defense break, and that's the most important thing. As for an EE, I've got her on the number 2 EE, so she can also add slow debuff. Slowing the enemy is really, really good in this fight. So having a slow debuff on her S3, her S1 being a defense break, oh sorry, on her S2. Her S1 being a defense break and her S3 being a immunity buff for the team. A lot of good things to say about Cecilia in this fight. As for an artifact, literally anything. Literally anything. Any knight artifact you want. If she's too slow, put her on Hill of Glance. If she's not tanky enough, give her a knight artifact that gives her survivability. If your rest of your team is dying, put her on Arius. There's you can put pretty much anything you want on Cecilia. Second on the team is a free unit, Bomb Model Kana. And by free, I mean you can get her from the connections, so go pick up your Bomb Model Kana. Now, if you're going to run the Bomb Model Kana in this spot, you will need the Bloodstone artifact. If you don't have it, you should use one of your selector tickets to get it. This is an evergreen artifact, and you're going to find that all kinds of events and abyss floors and PvE needs will ask for this artifact, and you will be glad to have a copy of it. So pick up one. If you do not have Bomb Model Kana and you don't want to do her connections and you don't want to go get Bloodstone, instead of Kana, run Mascot Hazel in this spot. Mascot Hazel will work just fine in place of Kana. Kana will just make the fight faster, but you can do 100% full clear without Kana. Just run Mascot Hazel in her place. You might have to up the damage a little bit on your units to cover the loss of Kana, but it will work just fine. Kana's built relatively fast, north of 200 speed. 240 is not required, just 200 speed. 85% crit because we have elemental advantage. The effectiveness is a bonus, it's not required. The reason for her effectiveness is she does have a strip, and that can be nice, but it is so not needed. Just focus the rest into damage and you're good to go. For an EE, I've got the chance of dual attack increased by 5%. Next, we're going to be running Fire Mercedes, another free unit. Now, you can run her on counter set, you can run her on destro set, you can run her on rage set, you can run her on speed set. It doesn't matter as long as she can dish out a lot of damage. Make her at least 270 speed. The more turns she takes, the better. She's our principal damage dealer, so you want her to be out there cycling, taking turns, and dishing out damage. Make sure she's on her own artifact. It is her best in slot for this and all uses of Mercedes. And our debuffer is going to be Fireball and Cezanne. Now, if you don't like, or don't want to use Ball and Cezanne, you can use Fire Tenebria in his place. Tenebria will work exactly the same as Ball, just slightly worse, because one of Tenebria's attacks is single target. All of Ball's attacks are multi-target. and damage is reduced from single target in this fight substantially. It does almost nothing. So the fact that Ball hits multi-target is huge. I've got him on the EE that increases his chance to defense break on his S3. The reason we have Ball here is he defense breaks and does significant damage. I have him on Etika Scepter. You can also run him on Prophetic Candlestick to cycle his skills to give us increased chances of using his S3 more often for more defense breaks. Because he is our principal debuffer, make sure you have him at 85% or higher effectiveness, and then again 85% crit chance due to elemental advantage is plenty. His speed doesn't matter nearly as much. I'd say anything over 185 to 190 speed, since he is our defense breaker and since he does do such good damage, I think it's worth it to run him a little bit faster. And here's the team. Everybody's skills are turned on for this fight, and I am really, really overstated for this fight. You will not need to build nearly as much damage on your units as I have to full clear this fight. So, Bomb Model Kana S3's first, giving everybody a speed buff. Balance is on S3's, hopefully applying a defense break. We get a good smack in there from Mercedes. Magic for Friends procs for an extra attack, and then another extra attack. Now, I want to pause this just for a second to show you something. You see this little blue buff, looks like a heart. This is the immunization effect. You get this when you get rid of the skill and all on the crystal and then hit it one more time. The crystal immunizes you against the neurotoxin. If the Lich uses its ultimate skill, it will put neurotoxin on your team, which means every time you take a turn, you will lose 90% of your health, and there's no way to cleanse it other than getting the immunization back on. This is another reason for multi-target attacks. Multi-target attacks are so you hit the Lich while also hitting the crystal to be boosting your chances to keep the immunization up while still damaging the Lich. Single target attacks don't do that. If you have too many single target attack units, like say Tenebria and Hazel, you might have trouble keeping the immunization up, and you might wind up with the neurotoxin, and if you lose 90% of your health, good luck taking the next hit. Cecilia S2s, which has a strip, and there is the slow debuff as a result of her EE. So now we have speed buff on us, slow debuff on the Lich, defense break, attack down. Because of Cecilia, we were able to put immunity on everybody, so we didn't take any poisons. Cecilia S1, extending the defense break. You'll notice everybody is not just hitting the Lich, but also hitting the crystal, so we're getting maximum damage turnout while also making sure that we cycle the neurotoxin, or the immunization to the neurotoxin. Here comes the defense break re-up, I hope. There we go. Up. Nope, we didn't get the defense break on that one, but the dual attack with Cecilia gave us a 2-turn defense break. So Cecilia is a really nice backup defense breaker. The immunity from Cecilia is keeping us from taking poisons. When the Lich does that skill, he stacks poisons on you, and that can start to chip away at the damage because we're entirely relying on Bloodstone to keep our team healthy. It's our only source of healing. But Kana is taking so many turns and doing so much damage that she is really keeping the team healthy with just Bloodstone. That's what lets us run this without a healer, and that's what makes it so fast. And here we go. We have just passed the halfway point at 925,000 damage. The boss does the big strip, and that tells us we have hit the halfway point of the fight. But Cecilia is ready with her S3, reapplies immunity to the entire team, and now we won't take any poison damage. Another one of the nice benefits of having Cecilia on the team. You don't need the immunity to poison, but if you find without Cecilia you're having trouble dying to the poisons, you might want to rotate Kana out for a Soul Weaver, like a Mascot Hazel. Balance is on, drops in his S3. We're closing in on the end of the fight. Dual attack from Bomb Model Kana gives us an additional turn of defense break. Etika Scepter procking on Sage Balances on means he'll be ready to use his S3 again even faster. $1.6 million. Cecile using her S3 again, giving everybody an immunity buff so that we won't take any poison damage. 1.7 million. And there you go. 1.8 million. Full clear. A pretty clean team. So there you go, everybody. I hope this helps you out. I hope this helps you get your expeditions teams put together for this rotation. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. If you have any ideas for alternate teams, please post those down there as well. I'm sure people without these units would love to see the way you're handling expeditions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care, Epic 7.